In 2010, a research vessel pulled a snail from a hydrothermal vent 3 kilometers below the Indian Ocean. Its shell was plated in iron and sulfur, a triple-layered composite harder than anything a defense lab had built. 35 years earlier, a Navy commander watched a white object hover 50 feet above the Pacific and said its skin looked like nothing he had ever seen on a manufactured craft. The Tic Tac encounter of 2004 has been studied, hearing tested, and partially declassified. One detail keeps surfacing in pilot testimony. The object had no seams, no rivets, no control surfaces, just a continuous white skin. Commander David Fravor compared it to a baby aspirin. Others who have studied recovered UAP fragments use a different word. They say the material looks grown. By the end of this investigation, you will know what Stanford's Garry Nolan has been finding in the metamaterial samples collected across 70 years, why those results keep circling back to deep-sea biology, and what DARPA quietly spent 15 years trying to copy. And there is one thing Bob Lazar said about the craft at S4 in 1989, a single tactile detail that almost nobody notices in the full interview transcript. We will get to that. Start with the Scaly-Foot Gastropod, formerly Chrysomelon squamophyrum, discovered in 2001 at a vent field called Kai Rai, nearly 2.5 kilometers down. In 2010, a team led by Christine Ortiz at MIT, funded in part by the Office of Naval Research, sectioned its scales. They found 3 layers: an iron-sulfide outer shell, a soft organic middle, a hard calcium base. The combination absorbs impact better than any synthetic plating of equivalent thickness. Descend another kilometer. You meet the Xenophyophores, single-celled organisms the size of a dinner plate, assembled from grains of deep ocean mineral they cement together from the water around them. Their structure is effectively a porous barium lattice. They aggregate, self-repair, and resist pressures that crush steel submersibles. No nervous system built this. The cell does it by chemistry, at ambient temperature, in the dark. Higher in the column live the tunicates, sea squirts. They're the only animal on Earth that synthesizes cellulose, the same polymer plants use. Their outer tunic is tough, translucent, and flexible, and it concentrates vanadium at 10 million times the level in surrounding seawater. Vanadium is a transition metal used in high-grade titanium alloys. The sea squirt pulls it from water. It does not mine it. It grows a skin that already contains it. The sea cucumber adds another trick. Its dermis is what biologists call mutable collagenous tissue. Under neural signal, it shifts from nearly liquid to rigid within seconds. DARPA's Biological Technologies Office flagged that property in a 2014 solicitation. The agency wanted a structural material that could switch stiffness on command. The sea cucumber had been doing it for 400 million years. A flexible craft skin that stiffens on impact stops being science fiction the moment you read that paper. None of this is speculation about UAPs yet. This is textbook marine biology. With one persistent footnote, the same properties keep appearing in the descriptions of recovered UAP fragments. Garry Nolan is a professor of pathology at Stanford. Over the past decade, he has received samples described as recovered from UAP events. The Ubatuba Fragment from Brazil in 1957, pieces of the so-called arts parts collection, and other material whose provenance he will not publicly confirm. He analyzes them with mass spectrometry and electron-microscopy. In a 2022 paper in Progress in Aerospace Sciences, co-authored with Jacques Vallee, he described what he keeps finding. Some samples show layered magnesium, bismuth, and zinc. in ratios that do not occur in any known industrial alloy. Others contain isotope fractions that laboratory chemistry cannot easily produce. Specific isotopes of magnesium preferentially enriched in ways that imply deliberate selection at the atomic level. Nolan has said in recorded interviews that the material looks engineered, but not machined. The structure, he has said, looks more like something that was grown. The Ubatuba sample is the most studied piece. Fishermen recovered fragments, so after reportedly seeing an object disintegrate over the Brazilian coast in September 1957. It is nearly pure magnesium, purer than anything commercially produced at the time. And its crystal orientation is uniform in ways that suggest it solidified under conditions Earth laboratories cannot currently replicate. Mainstream chemistry disputes parts of this. Nolan's group stands by the isotope analysis. Meanwhile, DARPA has spent almost 15 years on a program called Engineered Living Materials. Launched in 2016, its stated goal is to grow structural composites, concrete that self-repairs, armor that rebuilds itself, skins that respond to damage. The agency's own white papers cite the scaly-foot snail, the tunicate, and the sea cucumber by name. The U.S. defense establishment, in other words, is openly trying to catch up to what the ocean already does. So when a Navy pilot describes a craft whose skin seems continuous and grown, the question has to be asked directly. Bob Lazar's 1989 interview is contested, unverified, and in places demonstrably wrong. But one detail is peculiar. When asked what the craft at Area S4 felt like to touch, Lazar did not describe metal. He said the skin felt warm and smooth, almost like porcelain, with no rivets, no seams, no welds, just a continuous surface. Compare that, word for word, to Fravor's 2004 description of the Tic Tac. They are reporting the same texture 35 years apart. David Grusch testified before Congress in July 2023 under oath. He stated the United States has been recovering non-human craft for decades. His legal team reviewed every claim for classification conflicts before he spoke. The Intelligence Community Inspector General found his complaint credible and urgent. Grusch did not describe what the hulls look like in open testimony, but the people analyzing the samples, Nolan, Vallee, and a small number of cleared academics, keep using the same vocabulary, not forged, grown. So what are we looking at? Possibly nothing. Possibly coincidental vocabulary used by honest people describing unusual materials. Or possibly something else. That some fraction of recovered UAP material is engineered the way biology engineers, layered, grown, atomically selected, and that the difference between a craft and a carapace may be smaller than our categories allow. The honest answer is that we do not yet know. The scaly-foot snail has been doing it for 20 million years. What do you think? Is the hull comparison a coincidence of language, or a signal the analysts are circling without saying aloud? Tell me in the comments. If you want more investigations like this, subscribe. We go deep on cases like this every week.